Hi there, this is a short intro video into the unit Research and Ethics and Exercise Science. In this video I'm going to give you a brief outline of how the unit works, what to expect, but for more detail then make sure to read your full unit outline. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Matt Sweeney. I'm the National Coordinator and LIC of this unit. You'll also be hearing my voice on a lot of the lecture recordings, and if you're in Brisbane then I'll be taking your tutorial classes as well. You'll also be hearing the voice of Michael Baker, one of our academics on the Sydney campus within Exercise Science, and depending on where you're taking this you may have some other staff members for your tutorials. So what's the unit actually all about? Well, we're going to be covering a range of different concepts throughout the semester, but really underpinning all of them is thinking deeper about the kinds of decisions we make in the field of exercise science. So some of you are going to go out beyond your degree and prescribe exercise as medicine to aging populations, to people who have chronic illnesses. Some of you are going to be going out and working and using sports science to help athletes achieve their best. And others still will be going out and working with our future generations, introducing them to physical activity and healthy lifestyle. But however you apply exercise science in these different fields, you're going to be making important decisions regularly that impacts how people achieve success and whether or not you expose them to harm. So what are you basing these decisions on? Well, you're going to be basing them on some sort of evidence, whether you're aware of it or not. And the gold standard of evidence in exercise science is research or products of the scientific process. So to really understand using this evidence, we need to think a little deeper about how we source this sort of evidence, so how it's actually created and how we use it. So we're going to be exploring as a part of the unit the benefits and weaknesses of research as a form of evidence. We're going to be critically evaluating research, and we'll even be having a go at experiencing the process of research by answering some of our own, hopefully very interesting questions. So with respect to logistics, one of the things that many of us think about first is the thing that's going to give you a score or a grade for this unit, and obviously that comes through the assessment. So what broadly do the assessments look like? Well, there are a series of short quizzes that make up 30% of your grade that are online quizzes on Leo that are available to sit anytime up until when they're shut, and that time in which they're shut will be advertised to you on the Leo page as well as over notifications. So those will be covering and aligned with the content modules that we'll talk about in the next slide. The mid-semester exam, which will be on the third day of tutorial classes, you'll be essentially getting a research abstract, a 4-page abstract. You'll be asked to read through it and you'll be answering some questions on it covering the content that up to that point so far in the semester. So you'll be answering some multiple choice questions, some short answer questions, and you'll also be asked to write the conclusion paragraph, which will be missing from that abstract also. So we'll be covering all of that content in class beforehand. You'll also be asked to do a group research project where you'll be involved in putting in a ethics application / proposal for a research project that you'll design yourself in a group. You'll also then carry out that research and you'll be writing up an abstract as a group for that research project as well. And so that's the final piece that goes towards your grade, but then there is a fourth or separate assessment that is a competency exam or a stats assessment in your final tutorial class, where you'll be given some data, you'll be asked some specific statistical questions, but I can guarantee that you'll be well prepared for that, and that shouldn't be a problem for any of you. So one of the other important logistical considerations of this unit is how the classes actually look. And in particular, something a little different with this unit is that there's no face-to-face lectures. All the lectures are delivered as a series of online recordings split up into content-specific modules, and you'll be able to see those very clearly on the Leo page as well. The quizzes that I mentioned in the last slide, they're aligned with those modules, each one of them being worth 3%, and it's probably worth going into slightly more detail about those quizzes before we start as well. Those quizzes will be closed throughout, so there are open from well before when the unit will start, and they will close sequentially as we go through the face-to-face classes, and that will be very clear to you on Leo when those things will close down. You'll only get one attempt at those quizzes each. They'll have a 10-minute timer. They'll be somewhere between 4 and 6 questions, so they won't be long. You shouldn't really be taxed for time. And if anything does come up where you miss one of these due to a reason that might fit into special consideration, make sure you put that paperwork through your relevant administration and LIC, and then you might be able to sit a deferred sitting of those quizzes. So while all the lectures are in the form of recorded modules, the tutorials are all face-to-face with 100% attendance expected. So we will be covering content from the modules, but we'll be covering it in a different way. So from each content module, you should have watched the video online, completed the quiz. That'll give you some knowledge or understanding of the content. And then when you come to class, we'll build discussions and activities around the content that solidify your understanding and help you apply that understanding in the assessments that we'll be working on in class as well. So the mid-semester exam, the competency exam, and the research project. Remember, for more details on the on missing classes and the official attendance policy, read your unit outline. So another logistical consideration that you might be wondering is if there are any textbooks or further reading that you might be required to do in this unit. And there's no recommended textbook, partly because some of the content that we'll be covering crosses between research methods and statistics, which are usually covered in separate texts. It's quite specific to exercise science, so it's one that there's a few different textbooks that are quite valuable that you might want to seek online. One that I think covers a good amount of material is this recommended one that I have on the screen here and that you'll find in the unit outline. So this is a nice one if you've got it or if you want to borrow it from the library, but there's certainly no textbook that is required. So this might be a nice one and a few others online to just support your understanding of the unit as well. So hopefully that gives you a nice overview of what the unit sort of looks like, how it runs, and what's expected in a very brief period of time. Just a couple of final thoughts to finish with. Research and ethics is really not one of those units that is designed to be full of different content or to be really sort of difficult and taxing. Some units that you'll have in your degree are those big hard units. 217 is not really one of those, but that doesn't mean it won't take effort. There are definitely concepts in here that people will struggle with at different times during the semesters, and it will definitely take a good schedule and structure and a good amount of effort to be able to do well in this unit. But I think on the flip side, if you do put that in effort, not only will you enjoy it more, and I think we can have a lot of fun this semester, but it is accessible to get a very good grade and maybe even lift that GPA up as well. So I think it is a sort of an opportunity, this unit. I'm really excited to be delivering it here on the Brisbane campus, and I know the other academics are excited to be delivering it on the other campuses, and I look forward to seeing you in class and or hearing your feedback from the unit as well.